up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Today on the channel I'll be doing my tips and predictions for round 24 of the 2025 NRL season. Last week I got 6 out of 8, some big games coming up, and also the wooden spoon battle is heating up for 2025. The first match to kick off round 24 is between Penrith and Melbourne. This one's happening on Thursday night at Western Sydney Stadium. Sees Penrith in 4th place at the moment, taking on Melbourne in 2nd. These two sides have met in some big games, especially since 2020, grand finals, preliminary finals, and this match is no exception. It's going to be a huge game up towards the top of the table there. Penrith are on fire at the moment, 9 wins in a row in the league. Can they make it 10 wins in a row? They come up against a Melbourne side who are very experienced at this time of the year, and a lot of people have been criticising Melbourne, saying, you know, even though they're winning, they're not winning great and they're vulnerable and all this type of stuff. But I think that kind of shows a good quality team, that even when you're not playing well, you're still winning. So this is a game where I think lots of tipsters are going to go one way or the other, but I think Penrith can do it. I'm going to go for Penrith to win this game by 1 to 12 points. I think they can make it 10 wins in a row in the league. First match on Friday is between New Zealand and St George. This one's being played at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland. New Zealand 5th on the table, St George 11th on the table. As it currently stands, St George are 2 wins outside the top 8 at the moment, and it's simple for them. They just have to keep winning if they want to keep their season alive in 2025. They won over their arch rivals Cronulla Sutherland last week in an impressive display. With New Zealand, they're falling into a bit of a hole. They're officially out of the top 4 now, 3 losses in a row in the league. And it just seems, ever since Luke Metcalf went down with that injury, that things have kind of just snowballed for New Zealand. With St George's record out Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, they've played there 12 times. They've had 6 wins and 6 losses, so a pretty good record there, travelling over to New Zealand. For this match, I give St George every chance of springing an upset and coming away with the 2 competition points. They'll be desperate for a win to keep their season alive. But surely New Zealand can't lose 4 matches in a row in the league, or can they? We'll have to wait and see, but I think that this is going to be the game where New Zealand turn it around, and I'm going to go for them to win this match by 1 to 12 points. And the main match on the Friday is between Sydney Roosters and Canterbury Bankstown. This one's being played at the new SFS. Sydney Roosters in 9th at the moment, Canterbury Bankstown in 3rd on the table. These two sides go back a long way. I consider it a rivalry match. Lots of bad blood between these two clubs. They've played 182 matches in total, 94 wins to East, 83 wins to Canterbury, and 5 draws. In the match earlier this year, Canterbury won by 4 points in a very tight affair. I expect this game to be similar. Canterbury had a comfortable win last week against New Zealand, and Eastern Suburbs, well, they surprised everyone with what they come out with. They absolutely tortured Redcliffe, 64 points to 12, making a bit of a statement there. Canterbury Bankstown is going to be a different opponent to Redcliffe though, so I think this match is going to be a lot closer. But in terms of who I think is going to win, I'm going to stick with the safe option. I'm going to go for Canterbury Bankstown to win this game. I'm going to go for them to win by 1 to 12 points. However, I think East are a chance here. They're a real massive chance to spring an upset. So I'll stick with the safe option and go Canterbury Bankstown 1 to 12 points. First match on Super Saturday is between Cronulla Sutherland and the Gold Coast. This one's being played at Shark Park. The Gold Coast are bottom of the table and Cronulla Sutherland 7th on the table. Last week, both of these sides had disappointing losses for different reasons. Cronulla Sutherland obviously losing to their arch rival St George. Not a good feeling. And as for the Gold Coast, they lost the Spoon Bowl game against South Sydney, which leaves them in a very bad position where a lot of people have already said they're going to get the wooden spoon for 2025, but I've noticed over the last month or so their performances have been a lot better. Even though they've been losing, They lost in heartbreaking circumstances against West Tigers. They beat New Zealand over there in Auckland. They lost in Golden Point against Penrith, and then they lost by 2 points against South. So they're in games, but they just can't get over the line. And when you're bottom of the table, nothing goes your way. And their record at Shark Park isn't great. They've played there 12 times, 4 wins, 8 losses, and their head-to-head against Cronulla is not good either. The head-to-head for the Gold Coast against Cronulla doesn't have good reading either. They've only beat them 9 times since 2007. Now this is a must-win game for the Gold Coast because with South Sydney having that bye, they're on 20 competition points, which means that if, say, Newcastle beat North Queensland on Sunday, then the Gold Coast realistically have to win 3 matches in order to get off last position. So this is a must-win game for them. And for Cronulla as well, it's must-win because they want to be inside that top 8 and play finals in 2025. But I just feel on paper Cronulla's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring one, but I'm going to go for Cronulla Sutherland to win this game by 1 to 12 points. Second match on Super Saturday is the Brisbane derby, Brisbane against Redcliffe. Brisbane in 6th place on the table at the moment, Redcliffe in 8th. This one's being played at Suncorp. With these two clubs, they had disappointing losses last time out for different reasons. With Brisbane, well, their match was pretty much over when you had 2 or 3 of their best players all go down with injuries within the space of 5 minutes. And with Redcliffe, well, I can't explain what was going on there. I thought that going into that match against Eastern Suburbs that they were a chance, and they lose 64 points to 12, and I just don't know how to explain what was going on there. It's the worst loss in club history so far for the club, and obviously this is a big match for them, Brisbane derby. They don't want to make it 3 years in a row where they're a chance of playing finals and then they end up having a fall away at the end of the year and miss out. So big game for Redcliffe and also big game for Brisbane. Both teams are going to have some players out, some key players in some very important positions. Who I think is going to win this match though? This is a really hard one to call because Redcliffe's got some key players out, as I just mentioned. Brisbane do as well. No Reynolds, no Mann. I think Cobbo's down as well. He's out. And they're important positions on the pitch where you need your best players. So I will go for Brisbane, but I'm not entirely 100% confident. But I'll go for Brisbane to win this one by 1 to 12 points. And the third match on Super Saturday is between South Sydney and Parramatta. This one's being played at the new Sydney Football Stadium. South's in 16th place on the table. Parramatta 13th place at the moment. These two sides have met 136 times. Parramatta 56 wins, South Sydney 77 wins. There's been 3 draws. Now last week both of these sides had crucial wins. South Sydney won the Spoon Bowl, as I just mentioned, and with the bye it takes them up to 20 points guaranteed, and they just need one more win to make it to that magical number, which is 22 points. Because I think if you can get the 22 points, you've avoided the wooden spoon. With Parramatta, they had a massive win against North Queensland, which means that they also realistically just need the one win to avoid this wooden spoon in 2025. And it also avoids a Spoon Bowl match between these two opponents, because if South would have lost and Parramatta would have lost, we would have had a second edition of the Spoon Bowl. Now, as a Parramatta supporter, this game makes me coil up in fear because South Sydney are Parramatta's ultimate bogey side. They've won 8 of the last 10 matches against them in the league, and some of the results that they've recorded against Parramatta in the last couple of years should be alarming as a Parramatta supporter. So I'll just read them out to you quickly. In the last 10 matches, South Sydney have recorded wins such as 38-0, 38-20, 38-24, 40 points to 12, 30 points to 12, 26-0, 42-26 and 32-16. So you see where I'm getting at here. Every time that South Sydney play against us, it's not very good reading. And I'm just thankful that we're not playing these in a Spoon Bowl game. And another interesting fact which I'll mention is that Junior Paulo overtakes Daniel Wagon to become the 12th most Parramatta player in cap player in history, and Alex Johnston is only 3 tries away from equaling Ken Irvine's all-time try scoring record. But after all that babbling on, who do I think is going to win? South Sydney. Yeah, they'll probably fucking beat us again. Honestly, they always do, don't they? If you're a betting man, put your money on South to beat Parramatta. Honestly. But yeah, I'm going to go for South Sydney to win this game by 1 to 12 points. And that will pretty much virtually assure that they won't finish with the wooden spoon in 2025. And the first match on the Sunday is between West Tigers and Manly Warringah. This one's being played at the new Sydney Football Stadium. Manly 10th on the table at the moment, and West Tigers 12th on the table. Manly are just 1 win outside the top 8 at the moment. As for West Tigers, after that shock win over Canterbury Bankstown, it pretty much means, along with the bye that they got, it means that they're on 22 competition points, which also says that they won't get the wooden spoon in 2025. So after 3 years of being on the bottom, they finally go a year without coming last, which is a improvement from them. With Manly Warringah, the equation's simple. They just have to win. They have to keep winning if they want their slim finals chances to stay alive. And with West Tigers, I don't think that they can play finals this year. I think that they're just too far away from the top 8. So for the remainder of the year, they'll just be playing for pride. Last time out, they had that impressive win over Canterbury Bankstown. But even in saying that, it just shows what of a basket case the West Tigers are, because even when they win, they can't even get that right. Because with all the drama from the win and the try celebration and the offensive gestures and all this caper, it's just like, even when they win, they can't fucking get it right. But who do I think is going to win this match? I'm going to go for West Tigers to win. I think that they had a good win over Canterbury Bankstown. They've had the bye, they're fresh, they can build off the momentum of that, and they can record another win. So I'm going to go for West Tigers to win this match by 1 to 12 points. And the final match to close out the round is also on Sunday. It's between North Queensland and Newcastle. This one has huge implications to who might come with the wooden spoon this year. North Queensland 14th on the table at the moment, Newcastle in 15th on the table. This one's being played at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. With Newcastle, they come into this match having lost 5 matches in a row in the league, and North Queensland have lost their last 2 matches in a row in the league. If the Rugby League project is correct, Newcastle have lost all 6 of their matches at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium. With Newcastle as well, I think there was a stat in their last game against Penrith where I think it's about 10 or 11 times this year they've been held scoreless in the first half, which is shocking. That's alarming. And I think no matter what happens this year, even if Newcastle avoid the wooden spoon or get the wooden spoon or whatever, Adam O'Brien's gone as far as I'm concerned. And as for North Queensland, they've been dragged into wooden spoon contention as well. They're only 3 points above the Gold Coast, and they just haven't been looking good of late. And it's concerning when your head coach is blaming opposition players for diving as the reason why they've lost games and things like that. So, especially last week with the match against Parramatta, Todd Payton was saying, oh, Moses took a dive and we should have won and all this, but it's just, I don't know, there's bigger issues there at North Queensland, I think, at the moment. So this is a huge match for both clubs, and it has implications for the loser. So if Souths do win their game and the Gold Coast win over the weekend, and Newcastle lose to North Queensland, Newcastle are bottom of the table. Basically, bottom of the table. If North Queensland lose and the Gold Coast win, then North Queensland move into second last on the table. So, although Gold Coast defeating Cronulla is unlikely, it could happen. And if Newcastle beat North Queensland is second last on the table, and who would have predicted that at the start of the year? But enough babbling on. Who do I think is going to win this match? I'm going to go for North Queensland to win. I think North Queensland have been playing slightly better. They've got a great record against Newcastle at Townsville there. And I just think Newcastle are in all sorts of trouble. A lot of people I've spoken to reckon that they won't win another game for the rest of the year. And yeah, I don't really see it either, but I'm going to go for North Queensland to win this match by 1 to 12 points. So those are my tips and predictions for round 24 of the 2025 NRL season. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know who you're tipping, the score margins and everything like that. Thanks to everyone that's recently subscribed to my channel. And thanks to everyone that watches the videos and tunes in every week. So anyways, this has been Rugby League History. I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, ta-ra for now.